What's up, my friend? Welcome to my new reaction channel, JP Reacts. The purpose of this channel is for you to watch videos with me, have fun, maybe get angry, as I react, calling out absurd woke BS, the lies and corruption of tyrants, and highlight other awesome freedom fighters' amazing work along the way. So I have a big favor because I'm going to be posting videos here regularly. I'd love for you to subscribe to this new channel of mine. And with that said, first video we're going to get into is President Brandon's press conference he gave about the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. So without further ado, let's get into it. Very regal entrance. Hasn't tripped yet.
Today is it's not hyperbole to suggest a very solemn moment. Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people.
Technically, it's not, abortion is not a constitutional right. It's not in the U.S. Constitution. It's probably in some other constitution we haven't found yet, but sounds good when he says it is. Also, it would be remiss if we didn't point out that just a matter of weeks ago, Uncle Biden said the Second Amendment and the U.S. Constitution is not absolute. But now they're like, all right, Joe, we need you to act sad. Like constitutional rights that aren't constitutional rights are being taken away. Go on, Joe.
That is already recognized. They didn't limit it. They simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans.
Killing babies is super important.
But they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country. 50 years ago, Roe v. Wade was decided and has been the law of the land since then. This landmark case protected women's right to choose, her right to make intensely personal decisions with her doctor, free from the interference of politics.
Just going to point out a couple things there. He knows what a woman is now, which is super awesome. He's been questioning that for a while. I wonder why. And then it's so important that a woman is able to make choices with her doctor free of politics. It's like Biden puts down his mandate friggin' postcards on the one end of the podium so nobody else sees. I'll also point out, if you can see here just to your left of his demented head, you'll see the reflection on that door. That's the teleprompter where he's reading what is the reflection of the teleprompter where he's reading what he was instructed to say.
It reaffirmed basic principles of equality, that women have the power to control their own destiny. And it reinforced a fundamental right of privacy, the right of each of us to choose how to live our lives.
Show me your papers.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk. As chairman and ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, as vice president and now as president of the United States, I've studied this case carefully. I've overseen more Supreme Court confirmations than anyone today, where this case was always discussed. I believe Roe v. Wade was the correct decision as a matter of constitutional law and application of the fundamental right to privacy and liberty in matters of family and personal autonomy.
Which, by the way, he believes Roe v. Wade was the right decision. There's a video from 2006 where Biden is speaking out saying basically abortion is not a good thing. I'm paraphrasing, but it's just important to see gaslighting as it's happening. It's great.
It was a decision on a complex matter that drew a careful balance between a woman's right to choose earlier in her pregnancy and the state's ability to regulate later in her pregnancy. A decision with broad national consensus that most Americans of faith and backgrounds found acceptable. that have been the law of the land for most of the lifetime of Americans today.
God,
And it was a constitutional principle upheld by justices appointed by Democrat and Republican presidents alike. Roe v. Wade was a 7-2 decision written by a justice appointed by a Republican president, Richard Nixon. In the 5 decades that followed Roe v. Wade, justices appointed by Republican presidents from Eisenhower, Nixon, and Reagan, George W. Bush, were among the justices who voted to uphold the principles set forth in Roe v. Wade.
I want to give the guy credit. He is reading really well off the teleprompter. When I'm trying to read out loud, I'm honest to God, hand on heart, not nearly that good.
It was 3 justices named by one president, Donald Trump.
Trump's fault.
Were the core of today's decision to upend the scales of justice and eliminate a fundamental right for women in this country. Make no mistake, this decision is a culmination of a deliberate effort over decades to upset the balance of our law.
Seems like Putin did it. How powerful is he when he just put his little demon claws on the podium? Like, all right, Joe, we're taking you seriously now. Just kidding. Don't do it.
It's a realization of an extreme ideology and a tragic error by the Supreme Court, in my view. The court has done what it has never done before, expressly take away a constitutional right that is so fundamental to so many Americans that had already been recognized. The court's decision to do so will have real and immediate consequences.
Insurrection.
State laws banning abortion are automatically taking effect today, jeopardizing the health of millions of women, some without exceptions. So extreme that women could be punished for protecting their health. So extreme that women and girls who are forced to bear their rapist's child.
FYI, I'm told the statistics on the abortions that happen from rape victims, which, by the way, if I were a woman, I'm not. But if I were and I was sexually assaulted, got pregnant, I think I would have an abortion. But I'm told the statistics is that accounts for like 0.6% of all abortions. I might have that a little bit wrong, but that's also slightly accurate as well. It's an incredibly small percentage. It's a good point. It's just like, I think whoever wrote his speech is exaggerating / lying for political purposes.
With the child, a consequence. It just
touch with your
stuns
emotions,
me.
Joe.
So extreme that doctors will be criminalized for fulfilling their duty to care. Imagine having a young woman have to carry a child of incest as a consequence of incest. No option.
He's so empathetic.
Too often the case.
Too often.
The poor women are going to be hit the
0.6%.
hardest. It's cruel. In fact, the court laid out state laws criminalizing abortion that go back to the 1800s as rationale. The court literally taking America back 150 years. This is a sad day for the country, in my view. But it doesn't mean the fight's over. Let me be very clear and unambiguous. The only way we can secure a woman's right to choose, and the balance that existed, is for Congress to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade as federal law.
Real quick, the Supreme Court, his point of like federal law, abortion needs to be a federal law. I talked about this in a recent newscaster video I put out on my main channel, Wake Up with JP. The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, which makes the right to an abortion a federal law. That doesn't mean you can't get an abortion. It just means now it's state law, whether abortion is legal or not. And funny thing about it being a federal law, if that were the case, if it was still the case, then you have unelected representatives, which is everybody on the Supreme Court, dictating a law, which is not what the Supreme Court is designed to do, which is tyranny. A democracy is your elected representatives become state legislatures and then they pass laws or they shoot laws down. That's called a democracy. So for communism to take root, you need unelected officials in the federal government making up laws. That's what Joe's advocating. I mean, he hasn't done anything communist like. I mean, that would just be too far-fetched. As president.
No executive action from the president can do that. And if Congress, as it appears, lacks the votes to do that now, voters need to make their voices heard. This fall, we must elect more senators and representatives who will codify women's right to choose into federal law once again.
I love this. He's politicizing the Supreme Court's decision as a way of trying to bolster the falling Democrats in the polls for the midterm elections, which is all about like, hey, we're going to recruit new voters based on the virtue of killing babies and giving the federal government more power. So great. Some women are like all for abortion. They want to do that, but just so tone deaf, thinking like, dude, like those freedom loving people, I know how we're going to get them to vote for us. Like kill babies. And like, they probably want to give the federal government more power. Vote communism in this year's elections.
Elect more state leaders to protect this right at the local level. We need to restore the protections of Roe as law of the land. We need to elect officials who will do that. This fall, Roe is on the ballot. Personal freedoms are on the ballot. The right to privacy, liberty.
If you like personal freedoms, now what he's campaigning is you'll want to vote conservative. The side that believes in freedom. So thanks for the campaign, Joe. That's awesome.
Liberty, equality, they're all on the ballot. Until then, I will do all of my power to protect a woman's right in states where they will face the consequences of today's decision. While the court's decision cast a dark shadow over a large swath of the land, many states in this country still recognize a woman's right to choose. So, if a woman lives in a state that restricts abortion, the Supreme Court's decision does not prevent her from traveling from her home state to the state that allows it. It does not prevent a doctor in that state from treating her. As the Attorney General has made clear, women must remain free to travel safely to another state to seek care they need. My administration will defend that bedrock right. If any state or local official, high or low, tries to interfere with a woman's exercising her basic right to travel, I will do everything in my power to fight that deeply un-American attack.
He'll ride a bicycle right up to him and then fall down. It's a powerful man.
My administration will also protect a woman's access to medications that are approved by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, like contraception, which is essential for preventative health care. Mifepristone, which the FDA approved 20 years ago to safely end early pregnancies and is commonly used to treat miscarriages.
I don't understand. You use a medication that ends in early pregnancy and that's used to treat miscarriages. It's like if you want to, like if a baby's already dead and you want to like kill it again. I don't know what he's talking about.
Some states are saying that they'll try to ban or severely restrict access to these medications. But extremist governors and state legislators are looking to block the mail or search a person's medicine cabinet or control a woman's actions by tracking data on her apps she uses are wrong and extreme and out of touch.
I like how he yelled, but also some states are going to go through people's mail to block these medications. I don't know if he said it. I don't know if that's true or not. But what I do know is Biden's government went through my mail. I had a big order of our favorite horse dewormer medication that helps pretty effectively kill certain viruses. The FDA went through the mail and confiscated it. I got a letter saying, yeah, the FDA took your shipment of the medication, which I got completely legally. So, but it'd be bad if that thing that he did happened to things he doesn't want it to happen to.
Well, the majority of Americans, the American Medical Association, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists wrote to me and Vice President Harris stressing that these laws are not based on evidence and asking us to act to protect access to care. They say by limiting access to these medicines, maternal mortality will climb in America. That's what they say. Today, I'm directing the Department of Health and Human Services to take steps to ensure these critical medications are available to the fullest extent possible. And the politicians cannot interfere in the decisions that should be made between a woman and her doctor.
Politicians should not interfere in the decisions that should be made between a woman and her doctor. Only when it comes to abortion. Nothing else.
And my administration will remain vigilant as the implications of this decision play out. I've warned about how this decision risks the broader right to privacy for everyone. That's because Roe recognized the fundamental right to privacy that has served as a basis for so many more rights that we've come to take for granted.
That's so funny. Like, Roe recognized your fundamental right to privacy. That is so important. Coming from a guy who wants to mandate you have to have a card to go in anywhere. Under his administration, certain cities and states, you have to show them to go into shops, to fly. Your private medical information. This guy, it's like he's doing a whole interpretive dance of what gaslighting is. Joe, could you define for us, through your interpretive dance, what gaslighting is? And he says, sure, let me show you.
That are ingrained in the fabric of this country. The right to make the best decisions for your health. The right to use birth control, a married couple in the privacy of their bedroom, for God's sake. The right to marry the person you love. Justice Thomas said as much today. He explicitly called to reconsider the right of marriage equality, the right of couples to make their choices on contraception. This is extreme and dangerous path the court is now taking us on.
Is that extreme because Justice Thomas is a black man, Joe?
Let me close with 2 points. First, I call on everyone, no matter how deeply they care about this decision, to keep all protests peaceful. Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. No intimidation. Violence is never acceptable.
I'll be honest, I appreciate his speechwriters writing that into his speech. I think that's great.
Threats and intimidation are not speech. We must stand against violence in any form, regardless of your rationale. Second, I know so many of us are frustrated and disillusioned that the court has taken something away that's so fundamental. I know so many women are now going to face incredibly difficult situations. I hear you. I support you. I stand with you. The consequences and the consensus of the American people, core principles of equality, liberty, dignity, and the stability of the rule of law demand that Roe should not have been overturned. With this decision, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court shows how extreme it is, how far removed they are from the majority of this country. It made the United States an outlier among developed nations in the world. But this decision must not be the final word. My administration will use all of its appropriate lawful powers, but Congress must act. And with your vote, you can act. You can have the final word. This is not over. Thank you very much. I have more to say this in weeks to come. Thank you.
Got to get out of there before he can answer any questions. Screw things up. Yeah, well, how do I say this delicately, concluding this? Like, in my opinion, that is a garbage human being. He is so inauthentic, hypocritical, gaslighting, and he's a puppet. He's playing the role, and he's not even a very good actor, but he's playing the role of being so concerned about women. A month ago, he didn't know what a woman is. And a few years ago, when he did know what a woman was, he was accused of sexual assault and accused of multiple accounts of sexual harassment. His now Vice President, Kamala Harris, said at the time, "I believe his accusers." But Joe's said, well, you got to believe all women, but not these women accusing me. What? And then during his speech, he's talking about like all this compassion for incest victims, which, for God's sakes, of course they deserve compassion. I just don't think it's authentic coming from him, a guy who used the FBI as a Secret Service police to raid the homes of two Project Veritas journalists to get his daughter Ashley's diary. Why would he do that? Because in her diary, she was questioning, did my father sexualize me when I was a child? He would shower with me naked at inappropriate ages. And she's talking in her diary about how she's addicted to drugs, alcohol, and sex today. And she's pondering, am I this way because my father was sexually inappropriate with me? Not saying he was or wasn't. It's what she was asking in her diary. And if any of that happened, that's called incest. So here's this guy, multiple accusations from women, and what his daughter wrote in her own diary. He's appearing to be concerned about women, concerned about incest. I don't think he gives a I probably won't swear. I don't think he gives a shit about any of this. I think all he gives a shit about is his political agenda and the people that control them. And their political agenda, in my opinion, is just out for total power, domination, and control. President Biden, thank you for this speech. I loved it. And thank you for watching this with me. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I'm going to have videos coming out regularly for you so you can watch with me, have fun, get angry as I call out the absurdities of woke culture, lies and hypocrisies of politicians, and highlight the amazing work of other awesome freedom fighters. Please subscribe, my friend, and thank you for being a part of this new channel. I appreciate you. See you in the next video.